Hello and
Um,
welcome everybody to tonight's season finale for the Sim Racers Edge inaugural season. My name is Frank Marchese, Tony Trapasso in the booth. We do apologize for the technical issues that we were and probably still are dealing with right now. But Tony, final race of a very successful season so far, and still yet one more trick up the sleeves of Sim Racer's Edge with the two different tire compounds.
yeah, that was one of the new things that iRacing rolled out in the last update, and it's definitely made things very interesting. And Frank, you're probably going to want to restart your streaming software.
And another momentary pause later, and we finally figured this out. Again, I do apologize, but we are going to bring you this season finale. And as we had mentioned, if you could hear us before we had to cut out again, a completely different game changer here with these cars. You can see some of them running on red wall tires, like right there, passing through your screen. That is Chris Simard. You're also going to see other guys with black wall tires. Those are different compounded tires. First time we're going to be seeing those here for Sim Racer's Edge.
Yeah, absolutely. As if iRacing couldn't throw enough curveballs at these guys with the last, with putting them in the new aero model and putting them on the new tire model. Something new for some of the open wheel series, namely the Indy cars so far, is the black primary compound and then the super soft red compound. So, that's definitely going to be something to keep an eye on. And the rule is, and this is the iRacing's rule, whatever compound you set your quick time in qualifying on, that's the compound you start the race on. And we've already spoken to a few drivers that the red compound tires are good for maybe 5 laps. And
Yeah.
then you might just as well be driving on the rims.
And we are just about done here with this qualifying session as we're looking at Rick Ravon, who currently sits second on the timing pylon with a 126.97 as he comes through here. Final corner of the oval track. We'll throw this qualifying thing up here as Ravon has set a couple of purple sectors that might have gotten him up to pole. It certainly has at a 126.80. So Rick Ravon will be sitting on pole for the season finale, I believe, as he has done the last two races.
The last three.
Yeah, you're right.
Starting at Indy, he's sat on pole for every race he started so far.
And he was a major part of the race last week at Michigan, right up until the very end. Some of the more keen-eyed of you may have noticed up in the top right corner of the screen before we get to the grid, have noticed our new sponsor, Rocket Racing Setups. Rocket Racing Setups is quickly becoming one of the lead setup builders for the iRacing community. If you need a proven race winner for your league or your run to the official season championship, Rocket Racing Setups is where you need to go. Rocket Racing Setups offers both dirt and asphalt setups along with setup adjustment guides and precise fuel sheets. With the ability to request setups and one-on-one coaching, if you like to build your own, Rocket Racing Setups is really difficult to beat for the price. If you're ready to take your sim racing experience to the next level, head on over to rocketracingsetups.com today. As the drivers are getting set now to grid up, we are going to flip over to that grid. We'll run through it as quickly as humanly possible. Rick Ravon and Nate Siefker by 8/1000ths of a second. Ravon takes pole. Butch Davis, Ronnie Osmer, Jeffrey Roulette, Chris Simard, Will Fletcher, Yari Brudpatcher, Will Fletcher, Jeffrey Bogan, and
Hold
Kevin
on, bud.
O'Brien.
The pace car's out.
Oh, the pace car's
they're
out.
rolling.
Oh, I thought it was.
I was like, wait, he doesn't know. Yeah, no, they're doing the rolling
restart. Okay, yep. Let's bring it out. There we go. So let's do this properly right from the very beginning here. Everything's a little rushed and discombobulated here tonight. Rick Ravon and Nate Siefker on the front row. Butch Davis and Ronnie Osmer will make up row 2. Jeffrey Roulette and Chris Simard in row 3. It'll be Yari Brudpatcher and Will Fletcher making up row 4. Tony, calmly, please.
Row 5 is going to go to Jeffrey Bogan and Kevin O'Brien. Tony Phillips and Jeff Hollingsworth going to roll off in row 6. Row 7 brings Stan Brasington and Carl Burke. Sam Cooper Bennett, the last car to take time, is going to be joined with Charles Woods in row 8. And starting shotgun on the field, all by his lonesome, Timmy Bates, starting 17th. Now, one thing I do want to mention is during the qualifying session, I was watching Siefker and Ravon just trade that lead back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And if you'll notice, Ravon's on the reds, Siefker's on the blacks. So Siefker ripped that time off running the primary compound, not the super soft, like just about everyone around him did.
Yeah, and that's going to be a major point to watch out for when we hit the pit stops. Now, there is going to be a competition caution. This is a 50-lap race. We're going to hit a competition caution at lap 12, and the pit lane will close on lap 10 for tonight. So it'll be very interesting, especially when it comes down to the green flag pit stop that is going to have to be made during the second half of this race. What tire these guys are going to elect to go on to try to make that run for the finish.
Well, I mean, you kind of almost have to bet that coming out of the competition caution, just about everybody's going to be on the black, only because you want to spend as least amount of time in the pits as you can. And the primary compound, you can push those for an entire fuel run, which these guys are only running 81% fuel fill tonight. So, that's something to be a little bit mindful of. So you're looking about 12 laps around this place, maybe 13 if you can conserve fuel. But you were talking about keen eye. If you'll notice, as they were coming down the back straightaway there, they didn't use the bus stop.
That's another thing they're going to be doing here tonight. Is they're going to be running the straight, old-fashioned racing course here. And also, while we were running down the back straightaway, we were on board with both Rick Ravon and Nate Siefker, so you can see the difference between the tires on board. There is that red wall on both the inside and outside of the tires, and the black wall for the inside and outside of the tires as well, so you know who is on what bit of rubber.
And getting back to what we were talking about, you're going to want to spend the least amount of time on pit road as you can. And I don't think you're going to be able to. The time you make up on track with the red is not going to be as beneficial as it would be not having to pit with the blacks. The primary, the standard Blackwall tire, it lasts a whole lot longer. We were talking to a couple drivers in the pre-race that red one, you might just as well be driving on the rims after about 5 laps because you cannot put the power down.
As we get set to come through the final few corners here, it has been a magical inaugural season for Sim Racers Edge. Excited for Season 2, but first we have to finish Season 1. Pace car is off. Ravon will lead them down with Nate Siefker. Green flag is in the air, and the season finale is underway.
Siefker with the nose out front. Here comes Davis to the inside of Siefker. Siefker sees him coming, gives him plenty of room, knows that and we've got one going real wide.
It's Kevin O'Brien.
Sam Cooper Bennett off pace as well. Oh no, Sam
started the pits. And that's Kevin O'Brien there. You're seeing no damage on that 84, so he must have just blown through the first corner. Rick Ravon currently in the lead, but right now it's Ronnie Osmer trying to make a move on the 43 of Butch Davis. Both of those guys, note, at the front are both on the option tire, the red-walled option tire. The two guys behind him, Osmer and Siefker, on the prime hard tire, the black wall. And that's, as we've been talking about, if you've watched Formula One especially, they're going to be slower, but as the tires degrade, that tire is going to come in.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you've got, I believe that's Chris Simard on the option tire. And then you're pretty much seeing a ton of, just a sea of red from Simard back.
You can see that the red wall on those tires. And again, these are only available on the road courses. So on the few road courses we've seen so far this year, this is the first one with the new tire compound. Again, this was part of the new build that postponed this race about a month or so ago as they head up. Go ahead.
This race was supposed to actually happen the night that they rolled this whole thing out. Yep. And everybody went, wait, hold it. This is not a good idea.
And just looking through, as there goes Butch Davis for the lead on Rick Ravon, and he will take it from Ravon. Going down into the boot section. Butch Davis, by the way, another thing that is unique to road course racing only, Butch Davis has used 2 of his 10 allotted push-to-passes. Rick Ravon has not used any. Osmer has used 1, presumably to get around Nate Siefker. But right now, Butch Davis already down 2 push-to-passes as there goes Siefker back on Osmer and just cannot get the move done.
Well, with as tight as the point standings are right now, I mean, Nate Siefker's wrapped up the championship itself, but there's still a lot to play for in the rest of the championship. You got Chris Simard currently sitting in second place. Butch Davis is only coming into tonight. Butch Davis was only 4 points behind Chris Simard. Then you're another 13 points back to Jeff Verlat, another 6 points back to Dan Brazington. Mike Sturgill, who is not here tonight, was 23 points back, and then Tim Bates was 13 points back from him. So you still got a lot to play for in that top 5. And then from Tim Bates back, Jeffrey Bogan's only 5 points back from him. Jeff Hollingsworth's only 4 points back from him. Ronnie Osmer's only 2 points back from Jeff. Will Fletcher's only 2 points back from Ronnie. So from about 15th moving forward, from 15th to 6th, you know, you've got a ton of guys that are still just able to throw haymakers at each other, and most of them are here tonight.
You saw as Tony was reading off the point standings going into tonight's race, you saw synchronized passing. Rick Ravon has gotten back around Butch Davis, and Nate Siefker has gotten around Ronnie Osmer. So your top 3 right now is Ravon, Davis, and Siefker. As we continue, as we work lap 3, about to start lap 4 here. And as far as guys, Tony, as you mentioned, that sea of red, only 3 guys on track right now electing to take the black wall harder tire. Everybody else is on the reds. Siefker and Osmer and Charles Woods, the only drivers that are on the black wall tires right now. And you can see Siefker not really being able to gain much on Butch Davis. However, we're getting towards that cliff for the red tires. We might start seeing the blacks come into their own now.
Yeah, and that's exactly what you're about to see. You know, about it usually, the way they tell you is it takes 1 lap to get up to temperature, and then you've got a flyer and then another flyer that this is it. Well, they're on that this is it lap, and from here on out, by the time they get back to turn 1, anybody that's on the red tires, you've pretty much used up all of the goodie. You hear me say that a lot, they used up all the goodie on the tire. Well, you're about to see exactly what I mean, because it's not full course cautions tonight, except for that competition caution. It's going to be local cautions, and you're about to see all hell break loose because we've already spoken to like I said, a few of the drivers before we went live that you might just as well take the tire completely off the rim or completely off and drive on the rim itself. You'll have more traction once these red compound tires go away.
You saw on screen there Timothy Bates having a moment coming through the penultimate corner here, working lap 5. Rick Ravon in the lead right now, as I believe we're having another issue as Carl Burke has had an issue, and yes, he is. You can see that rear wing dangling off the back end of that number 53 for Burke. So Burke having a problem going into turn 1. Let's have a look at it here.
He had a little help.
Yeah, I believe that was the 32 of Tony Phillips. Oh, and yeah, that was the left rear broken on that car as well.
Looks like you got both of them.
So that would be.
You got the right rear suspension upright made contact with the front wing of Phillips, and yeah, that's definitely not good. And Carl Burke has called it a night.
Yep, so this is the final race of the season, not going well for Carl Burke at all, retiring on lap 4, working lap 5 here, as Rick Ravon has pulled out a healthy second lead on Butch Davis, as Davis still actually gapping Nate Siefker on the black tires, so maybe the black tires not coming in as quick as we thought they possibly would have.
Well, they're going to come in about the same. They're just not going to fall off as quickly. And Siefker is probably going to, just set a pace that he knows he can make it all 12 laps on the fuel. Not have to worry about anything. He's not in a rush. He knows Ravon and Davis are going to have to pit sooner than the 12-lap mark, just solely because of tires.
No, very good point there.
He's not pushing his equipment as hard as he can. You take a look at his last lap.
28.34 was.
Yeah, that's just dawdling. That's the slowest lap he's put up all night.
Having a couple of issues around this lap. We're going to go through them now. This is Tony Phillips at the back end of the boot, going straight on and just knocking the front wing off.
Oh, Simard just ate hot garbage.
Oh, get to that here in a second. As there's Simard. We're going to get back to live pictures first here. As there is Chris Simard. Has lost a couple of spots. He was running in the 5th position. He's lost about 12 seconds off the back of Ronnie Osmer, so we will go through that here.
Luckily, he didn't hit anything.
Yeah, that's what we're seeing. Not seeing any damage.
He was just he came out of the boot and hit that bump that's on the right as you come out of the boot, and where you transfer back onto basically the NASCAR course, and it swapped ends on him, and it was kind of to be expected as he's 7 laps on the red compounds. If he makes it to the competition caution, it'll be a miracle. As
wiggling through the carousel there. As again, continuing to go through these incidents. Here's Sam Cooper Bennett in the same spot. Actually, right where we were just talking about with Simard, slides through. A little bit of a collision there. Fletcher also had a moment off in the 37. That's Yari Brupatcher spinning in front of him, and a hard hit, just trying to evade for Will Fletcher. And then here is Chris Simard about to do the same thing we just saw Sam Cooper Bennett do. Just slings the back end around. And that is a very difficult corner to get through because you have because there's so much weight taken off the car because you're going uphill and it's starting to flatten out right about there. So that's a very easy place to try to loop it around.
Yeah, absolutely. It's that off-camber stuff that'll get you every time. Luckily, going into the boot, it's off-camber, but you're carrying so much speed going in that the wings keep you pinned. But because you're scrubbing off so much speed to make that turn coming out of the boot, you don't have the downforce to aid you in keeping the car on track.
We could be seeing pit stops here coming up momentarily. We're working lap 8, about to start lap 9. The pit road will close at the completion of lap 10. So we are a couple of laps away from possibly seeing pit stops, and Rayvon and Davis still continuing to set absolute flyer after absolute flyer. A 127.2 for Rick Rayvon that last time through as he crosses the line. It'll set that 127.2 is his best, pardon me. Still a 128.4, and even on those old reds, he is still the fastest car on track. Nate Siefker setting a 129.5, the first car on blacks, losing ground instead of gaining.
Yeah, that's definitely something to be mindful of, and it's not normal to see that with Siefker. And getting back to what you were talking about earlier, it doesn't look like Rayvon's used a push to pass yet either.
No, Rayvon has not used one. Butch Davis has used another one since, so Davis down to 7 push to passes. Ronnie Osmer has used one. And looking through, I think Sam Cooper Bennett's the only other one that has used a push to pass from what I could tell on my timing and scoring chart. So Rick Rayvon is doing this all on pure momentum, and you can see how twitchy that car is coming up out of the boot and back onto the NASCAR course. He's just doing a fantastic job right now of using the grip that is available to him in that number 5, and here he comes down into pit road. Butch Davis will follow. This is exactly what we were expecting here.
And Kevin O'Brien's looped it coming out of the boot.
He has this. Here's Rick Rayvon on pit road now.
Looks like wholesale pit stops right now.
Yep, as you
except for Siefker and Osmer. They're the only two that stayed out.
Yep, the only two guys that are on the black wall tire, and this might have been what they were saving, as you had mentioned earlier, Tony. This might have been what they were waiting for and saving their tires for, because right now, points don't matter for a stage win, as here goes Osmer for the race lead going into the carousel. Ronnie Osmer will take it just before they get into the boot. So the 55 wants the lead and wants the ability to control the field here prior to the second half of this race.
So there's 4 drivers that started this race on the primary compound, and that's Siefker, Osmer, Charles Woods, and Kevin O'Brien.
Yep, and those guys are the ones that stayed out. O'Brien has been in because of issues that he has had. Right now, Chris Simard, Jeff Hollingsworth's around at the toe of the boot. We'll see what happened here with Hollingsworth as he's getting passed now by Rick Rayvon.
Hollingsworth hasn't gone pit yet.
Yeah, Hollingsworth's on the reds.
And he has not gone to the pits.
And he's not going to be able to here either, as Rayvon has put on another set of reds. As far as I know, and you can see Butch Davis, and again, there's Kevin O'Brien going off in the background there. But you can see, I don't know if there was a rule that was in place where you have to, much like Formula One, you have to use both tire compounds. But I'm surprised Rayvon going with the quicker compound, but the one that degrades faster again.
I don't know. I wish I had an answer for you on that one. The one that kind of has me a little shocked is the fact that Chris Simard right now is on the Reds, and he hasn't gone pit side yet. Dan Brazington is on the Reds. He hasn't gone pit side yet. Jeff Hollingsworth is on the Reds, and he hasn't gone pit side yet. So I'm thinking those guys are waiting for this competition caution to come out, seeing just how far they can push these Reds. I can guarantee you, if you look at these tires after this stint right here, Simard and Hollingsworth and their tires are going to be just whooped. Like 75% left on the tread or less as Davis gets by Hollingsworth.
And we're coming to the line right now, and you can see Kevin O'Brien just limping down pit road. As Safeguard, we should be expecting the competition caution here at any moment, possibly at the end of this lap. If it's not now, it'll be at the end of this lap for Nate Safeguard. Safeguard's put a 1.2 second gap on Ronnie Osmer, and as you mentioned, Chris Simard, Dan Brazington, those guys not allowed to come in now with pit road being closed. So those guys will be coming into pit here under this competition caution. You can see Butch Davis, I would have to assume, is expecting to come into pit road under the competition caution because he has caught right up to the back of the 5 of Rick Ravon. And there's the competition caution.
There it is.
So I assume waiting for the entirety of the field to start lap 12.
Well, Davis has gone pit.
Yes, Davis has gone to pit, but I would think with how hard he was pushing those tires to catch up to Ravon that he was not planning on keeping these tires on after this caution.
Probably not. It's going to greatly surprise me if you see anybody come out of the competition caution with the Reds still on.
I mean, this is the fun part of road racing, to see what the strategies are going to be as the leaders have still yet to catch up to the pace car as Seifker now just finishing off lap 12, heading on to lap 13. Just to catch you up on some of the things that had happened prior to that caution flag while these guys are catching up. Jeff Hollingsworth, as we had mentioned, after not coming in, this is the toe of the boot section here, just gets on the gas a little too early, slings the back end around, but was able to catch it. Kevin O'Brien, we saw him in the background. This coming out of the boot section, just gets on the gas a little too hard there, breaks the left front suspension. Timothy Bates had an off as well again. Same corner right at the heel of the boot. Ends up in that gravel trap again. Tony Phillips having an issue. Coming out of the boot and back onto the NASCAR circuit. Slinging the back end of that car around, and you can see poor Kevin O'Brien still trying to recover. Phillips doesn't hit anything until there. And then beyond that, that was pretty much it as far as incidents that happened, as the leaders are caught up to the pace car now. And we'll see the strategies play out here on pit road.
Yeah, absolutely. This is the one thing you hate. If you're the crew chief, you kind of hate iRacing right now because if you didn't have enough things to figure out, now, okay, which compound do I put my driver on? Like I said, I'm going to be greatly surprised if anybody comes out of the competition caution still with Reds on, knowing that, you got 10 laps out of them, and that was about it. And then it was completely undrivable.
So you're going with...
I'm going with the black sidewalls.
You're going with blacks until that last 10 or so lap sprint, and then put the Reds on and let her have it.
I'm going to ask my driver to to go out there and do what he can, and if we get within 10 to go, and I think we can make something happen. We're coming in for a splash for Reds, and go man go. Hopefully you've got some push to passes left in your pocket.
Well, we're about to see that decision play out as the pace car heads onto the front straightaway. Everybody coming in.
Almost everybody.
Except, well, those guys are laps down, I believe. That's Will Fletcher and Jeffrey Roulette. Butch Davis and Rick Ravon decide to stay out. So they are well off sequence from the rest of the field now as Safeger and Osmer hit their marks into pit road. That's surprising. So Ravon, Davis, Bogan, and Brupatcher decide to stay out.
And wow.
And Osmer, wow, they're on Reds.
Everybody's on Reds. Everybody except Jeff Hollingsworth.
There's Hollingsworth on the black walls. And Tony, I would hire you as my crew chief any day, because what you had described was exactly what I would have done in that situation. I would have come in, put blacks on, taken everything I could out of the black tire, the black wall tire, and then gone on to the Reds at the end of the race. This is, for a guy who watches Formula One as much as I do, it's confusing strategy, I will say.
I'm trying to wrap my head around the justification of what these guys are doing.
Well, I think we can lament over that while we take this this quick break here. We will bring you the second half of action from Watkins Glen here right after this break. Don't go anywhere. Tonight's broadcast of the Sim Racers Edge Alpha Series from Watkins Glen is sponsored by diecastnuts.com. Post your diecast collection, add or trade to it in the shop, and see what other members' collections look like at diecastnuts.com and on Facebook at diecastnuts. And by Rocket Racing Setups. Rocket Racing Setups is one of the leading setup builders for the iRacing community. Find dirt and asphalt setups, tuning guides, fuel sheets, and much, much more at rocketracingsetups.com today. For Sim Racers Edge, their sponsor tonight, Turn Sim Racing. Turn Racing is merging the gap between sim sports and motorsports. Turn Racing provides top flight sim racing equipment to help enhance your sim racing experience. Turn also offers a full race guide to help better your skills and put you a step above the rest. Head on over to turnsimracing.com to take your sim racing equipment and ability to a professional level at an affordable price. So as cars get set to go back to green flag racing here, Tony and I were stewing over what has transpired here, and for two guys that watch open wheel racing with multiple tire compounds, we still cannot make heads or tails of some of the decisions that have been made. But anyway, green flag is out, and boy, what a start for Nate Siefker, who has jumped right on up. He's on the inside of Jeffrey Bogan. He's already gotten past Jari Brabpatcher. And back into third place is Nate Siefker for him. First time on the Reds tonight.
First time on the Reds for Siefker. First time on the Reds for Ronnie Osmer as he's picked up a couple of spots. Chris Simard has the hammer down right now as he's climbed up to 7th. And these guys are flat getting it right now as Davis goes to the inside of Ravon going into the carousel.
Yep. Butch Davis takes the lead going into the carousel. Jeffrey Bogan trying to hold off Jari Brabpatcher on exit of the carousel, and just will do so as Brabpatcher now, as Simard is putting Ronnie Osmer under pressure going into the toe of the boot. Brabpatcher and Bogan side by side. Osmer holds on to his position through the toe of the boot as they race towards the heel. Nate Siefker making a peek on Rick Ravon, not close enough to make a move as they head back up onto the NASCAR layout for Watkins Glen. And this is what you would expect, Tony, out of a restart like this, with how spread out these guys get around this track. You got to get while the getting's good, and the getting's good now.
Yeah, absolutely. We're seeing a lot of Dyson going back and forth. It's going to be interesting to see what happens in another, say, 4 laps or so, because Ravon and Davis have the oldest tires on track right now, as far as 7 laps each. Everybody else, while Brabpatcher and Brogan are still 7 laps, everybody else is 3 laps or less on their tires. So it's going to be real interesting to see what happens as Ravon to the inside of Davis going down the back straightaway. Siefker trying to find a hole, doesn't know which way to go, as they were almost 3 wide going into the carousel.
Yeah, Siefker got blocked off, and you could just barely see on the steering wheel that green highlight around the video screen on the steering wheel. Siefker was on the push to pass there, had to let off when Ravon made that move because Butch Davis was not on that push to pass. Rick Ravon back to the race lead, and Butch Davis, we were talking especially with him, how hard he pushed. He gained 2.5 seconds back on Rick Ravon just prior to that competition caution, and only a lap or two. Surprised he stayed out especially, and you can see now he's starting to fall back. Siefker's gotten around him, and now Siefker can set his sights on Ravon. Siefker not only winning the championship, he's trying to get a clean sweep of the road courses this season.
So Siefker has 8 left as far as push to pass go. Ravon still has all 10. Butch Davis has 7. Brabpatcher has 8. Bogan has 8. Osmer has 7. Simard still has all 10. So that's something to be mindful of, especially as the laps start to close down. Who's got what for push to pass? because it's not only an offensive tool, it can also be used as a defensive tool.
I was just about to say, especially with Rick Ravon now trying to hold off Nate Siefker, that could very easily go from push to pass to push to defend. As you're looking at the battle here, this is for the 5th position. Osmer has gotten away. Simard now just clearing Bogan, as only a half a second separate first and second. That is Rick Ravon, who, after a little bit of a spat with Butch Davis earlier on in the run, has been pretty well clear and has just been riding on his own. He's getting pressure now, big pressure, from Nate Siefker, who is on 4 lap fresher tires than he is, both of them on the same tire compound.
Well, we're going to see here within the next lap or two exactly how much the fall off is on the red compound tires. Now, granted, there's a 4-lap difference in the tires between Ravon and Siefker, but Ravon only had maybe a lap and a half under anger when he did his tire change.
Looking to see here, riding on board with Siefker to see if he is going to use his push to pass. He won't use it here. He'll use it at the top of the hill.
There was a little skate going into turn 1 for Ravon, though, so that's something to be mindful of.
See the run that he's getting, just the draft alone helping. No push to pass assistance here for Nate Siefker as they head down into the carousel. Nate Siefker side by side with Rick Ravon, giving each other plenty of racing room. And the inside line will prevail here momentarily, but the inside line now goes to Siefker, who's going to have to let off as Ravon comes down to the line, closes the door. These two racing for the lead, 2.7 seconds clear of Butch Davis.
And Davis he's got his hands full with Ronnie Osmer, but Osmer's not pressuring him as hard as he could be, because I've driven with Ronnie enough to know that he wants to finish this race, and he wants to finish this race preferably on the podium, but he wants to finish it, because I think he's only finished 2 this season.
Osmer certainly has had a nightmare season in that number 55. Yari Brupatcher right now is the first driver that has actually moved up positions from where he started in the top 6. Everybody else currently standing station as to where they started except for Brupatcher. He's up to the 5th position, up 2 spots from where he was. Part of that is the decision not to pit under the competition caution, as he's holding Chris Simard back from him. Osmer putting Butch Davis now under a very solid amount of pressure going into the carousel. It's going to be a late look. There goes Osmer to the inside of Butch Davis. And with how hard Davis was pushing just prior to that competition caution, that really might be hurting him here as Osmer takes the final podium position.
And being as Alan just checking in, Butch Davis's, or not Butch Davis, Dan Brazington's father-in-law checking in. Alan, how you doing tonight? Got some good news for you. As of this lap that they are currently on, Dan Brazington just clinched most laps completed of any driver in the series this season. So congratulations, Dan Brazington, on most laps completed.
And then that is an incredible accomplishment. However, there is a rib to that announcement, though. And Tony,
I'll let you do that one.
No, I already threw it off to you, bud. I'm sorry. You're the one that brought it up. You
You've got
complete
the
the rib.
balls of a red. The caveat to that is he has the most laps completed and has yet to lead a lap.
So there you go.
Let that sink in. Now, mind you, he did get one stolen from him at Auto Club at the season opener by 1/10,000th of a second. So if it's any consolation, Dan Brazington, congratulations on most laps completed without leading a lap.
And unfortunately, he's getting passed now by Will Fletcher. That will put Brazington into the 10th position. I would have to say you look at the chrome on the car, it looks a little bit like iron. And for the Iron Man of the series so far, having completed the most laps, rather fitting scheme for Brazenton here tonight.
And something happened to our compatriot in the 102. Oh my.
We'll look back here. I think this was a couple of laps ago.
Yeah.
Sam sliding through, getting back onto the track, and then just side slams that wall. You could see that glitch again. He broke both right sides off the car. However, just sit there, wait a second, and they're right back on him again.
And the thing is he had already burned his fast repair right at the start of the race. He got clobbered as he was coming out of pit lane at the drop of the green. So his night is effectively over.
It is officially over as well. As right now, Tony Phillips is the only driver that is not on the lead lap. Battle for the lead here as Rick Ravon goes back to the point. And Ravon defending for the race lead. Ravon has had passed Nate Siefker back. Bless you.
Thank you.
Had passed Nate Siefker back a little bit later in the lap where he took the lead. Siefker took the lead. That is Ravon defending now from Nate Siefker. And still not a push to pass to be used right now. The person who's in the worst position as far as push to pass goes is Ronnie Osmer here in the 55. He has 5 left. Actually, I take that back. Jeffrey Roulette is in the worst position right now as far as push to passes. He only has 4 remaining in the number 66.
And this is what you get when you have 2 guys that the vast majority of running that they do is in the IndyCar. Of course, we are talking about the number 5 of Rick Ravon and the number 10 of Nate Siefker. 2 of the most skilled competitors in the IndyCar that you're going to see anywhere in iRacing, as far as spending the most time in sim, just pounding out laps, pounding out, fuel strategies, and they have the skill set to be able to stretch a lead out to 4.7 seconds over third place. And I'll be straight with you. It's actually kind of surprising that they're able to stretch out this type of a lead over a guy. Ronnie Osmer drives super late models in the real world, and he has had ARCA starts. As a matter of fact, I believe it was this past year during Speed Weeks, he actually put the team that he works for in the real world, he put their backup car on the top of the scoring pylon during practice for the ARCA race at Daytona. And Siefker and Ravon are just walking him right now.
And you saw the difference in laps led, in the lap times there. And you heard going down the long back straightaway, Siefker letting off to stay behind Rick Ravon, not trying to force anything going into the carousel here just yet. So Siefker is more than content right now, letting Rick Ravon, who has led a predominant amount of laps between the races at Homestead and Michigan, and now here, led a good portion of the Indy 500 before he was unfortunately dispatched around the 25 lap mark. But Ravon certainly has made one heck of an impact, and now as he appears to be running here on a weekly basis, after missing a little bit more than the first half of the season, he is certainly going to be a contender for Nate Siefker's championship next season.
Absolutely, letting letting everybody know that he's definitely going to be one to be contended with. And getting back to that whole Indy 500 thing, he led all 25 laps until he was force-fed hot garbage coming through the North Short Chute. Just in command of that field that day.
Certainly was. And this pair here has opened up a 5-second lead, a little bit north of 5 seconds, on Ronnie Osmer as Rick Ravon now coming into pit road. Butch Davis, who came in on the same lap as him, stays out for an extra lap. Yari Brubpatcher in, Jeffrey Bogan in. So as far as guys who had pit prior to the stage, the only one that stayed out on the racetrack is the 43 of Butch Davis, who you see here sitting in third position now.
Absolutely. As we are just about at the halfway point, and Ravon goes back on the Reds. Ravon's back on the Reds. Brubpatcher's in. Bogan's in. Looks like they are both going to stay on Reds as well.
And that's interesting, and that brings up what I had mentioned earlier, is I wonder if there is a Formula One style rule to where you have to use both of the tire compounds in the race, because if not, you can, again, theoretically just stay on those Reds for the entirety of the race. As there's Rick Ravon coming out just in front of Jeff Hollingsworth. Total time in pit lane for Ravon was 38 seconds, 38 and a half seconds for the driver of the number 5, and right now he is 28 seconds behind Nate Siefkers. I think Butch Davis had an issue he has getting back onto the NASCAR circuit. As Butch Davis is backwards now, getting it righted, and that is certainly not going to help his chances against Chris Simard, who he was just one position ahead of, and that is a championship battle.
Oh, okay. What ended up happening was, it looks like Ronnie Osmer was right in front of Davis, got it wrong himself, and Davis jammed on the binders to try to avoid hitting Osmer and just looped it right in front of Chris Simard.
Yeah, they both did the same exact thing there. As unfortunately Davis comes off a little bit worse, and you can tell these guys are starting to slip and slide on those red compounds, on those softer compound tires, as that is, I believe that was Jeffrey Roulette coming in and out on the Reds. Butch Davis still on the Reds as well.
So 15 laps on those tires, and Davis said no mas.
And we're going to be waiting on Nate Siefker here. Siefker currently still maintaining that 28-second lead over Rick Ravon, and if it is to be believed that there is a 38-second pit delta, between 38 and 40-second pit delta, that does not speak well for the driver of the 10 right now. He'd be about 10 seconds off the pace for Rick Ravon, which to me, honestly, doesn't make whole lot of cognitive sense.
I'm showing 30 flat for Ravon from cone to cone.
Oh, 30. Okay.
3-0.
Okay, so then my time is a little bit off here because I'm showing for Siefker it was 40 seconds.
31
down pit lane. I'm assuming we're seeing two different pit lane in and outs.
Yeah, I'm showing cone to cone.
So in any event, well, we could theoretically have a change here, as the man you're seeing on screen right now, Dan Brazington, currently sits in the third position. So if he can outlast Siefker and Osmer and somehow keep Rick Ravon behind him long enough, Brazington could get that ever elusive lap lead.
Yeah.
That's theoretically.
That's a possibility.
But he's going to have to seriously find some pace here, as he's only got about 2 seconds back to Rick Ravon, who is catching him in a hurry. Last lap as Nate Siefker, the race leader, is in. So there is Siefker's number 10 on pit road. He is in. Ronnie Osmer peels off behind him. Siefker will lead this lap. The question is, will Dan Brazington be able to stay out another lap? And if he does, can he stay in front of Rick Ravon for it? As here comes Brazington's into pit road. And that will leave the battle now for Rick Ravon. As there's Seeker just coming out of pit road. Ravon clearly back on track ahead of Nate Seifker by about 1.5 seconds.
And Seifker back on the reds, too. So,
if there
is a rule that says you have to use both compounds at some point, Seifker's golden because he's already used the blacks.
Yeah, we're on board with Jeff Hollingsworth. Hollingsworth, again, electing to stay on the Blackwall tires, the Blackwall harder tire. So Hollingsworth right now is the only driver still on track that has elected to use the Blackwall tire after the initial stint. And you're right, Tony, if there is a rule to where you have to use both compounds, only Nate Seifker, Ronnie Osmer, and Jeff Hollingsworth on track right now. Those are the only ones that will have complied. Sam Cooper-Bennett and Kevin O'Brien had both started on the blacks. But
so did Charles Woods.
Oh, sorry, Charles Woods, pardon me. And Woods, no, you're right. Woods is also compliant. Kevin O'Brien was the only one that was the other one, but he is no longer participating in the race.
Right. So Woods, Hollingsworth, Seifker, and Osmer.
Yes.
Those 4 guys are currently golden if there is a rule that you have to use each compound at least once.
You know, we had Seifker in here pre-race, and I think that is one thing that we could have asked him about.
I wasn't even thinking about asking him.
Neither was I.
I was a little busy.
Neither was I, and my plan was during that break we were going to I was going to pull him up quickly just to ask him. And we were so shocked by who came in and what the strategies were of those that came in and stayed out that I completely forgot then as well. So that's on us.
Yeah, I was a little busy during the pre-race and a little busy during the break as well, but
yeah, we really should have. That's a bad job on us. And right now we have a couple more retirements to report. You can see it on the pylon. Tony Phillips in the 32 is out of this race. Yari Bruphatcher in the 89 is out as well. Timothy Bates has also decided to put it on the hauler. So right now only 11 drivers still circulating the circuit right now. Bates, Bruphatcher, Phillips, Sam Cooper-Bennett, O'Brien, and Burke have all called it quits here this evening. So right now, almost everyone guaranteed a top 10 finish.
It's who's gonna step on their own junk first. Basically, is how you're going to screw that up. But this just in: Rick Ravon has actually finally used a push to pass.
Yes, he has used a push to pass. So everyone has used at least one. Actually, I think everyone except Dan Brazenton has used one. Chris Simard has used all but 2 of his push to passes right now. And he is currently engaged in the closest battle on track right now is Butch Davis currently holding on to the 6th position. Will Fletcher in the 37 in 7th. And Simard running in the 8th position, running at the back end of this little trio here. And Simard actually has used one of his 2 remaining push to passes. So Simard is going to be pretty much on game power the rest of the way.
Yeah, and Simard admittedly has said time and time again he's not a road racer. He just hopes to survive these ones. But when you're battling as close as the points battle is coming into tonight, and again, there's only 4 points separating Butch Davis and Chris Simard, with Simard having the nod.
Oh, there goes Fletcher!
Tonight. Oh, boy.
Fletcher spins it around as they get back onto the NASCAR circuit, and there's Brazington with nowhere to go. Boy, and you saw that we were on board with Fletcher as it happened. Just loses it. will go on board with Brazington now, coming through and just Fletcher just flicks it around to get back onto the racing surface, going the proper way, and unfortunately for Brazington, he'd flicked it right into his path.
Yeah, that's definitely not something you want to see for anybody, especially, one of the good guys of the series like Dan Brazington. Just absolutely nowhere to go, and he almost collected Jeff Hollingsworth as he was trying to get sorted back out. So, luckily was able to, get the car pointed in the right direction. He hadn't burned his fast repair yet, so that's a good thing. And guaranteed at least a top 10 because Will Fletcher has put it on the hauler.
Yeah, Will Fletcher is done. Dan Brazington has limped it into pit road. And you're seeing right now this battle for the lead that over these last couple of laps has really heated up. Nate Siefker, last lap, putting in the fastest lap of the race at a 1:26.74. So Siefker now really starting to fly in that number 10 Voodoo Machine. Goes to the outside of Rick Ravon going into the carousel. Did not use a push to pass there. Still running side by side coming through the carousel. Siefker not going to let off this time as they head into the boot. Nate Siefker back to the point.
And that was definitely a power move on Siefker's part, due in part to using another push to pass. Ravon used one to defend.
I did not see a push to pass go down. It's still at 6 and 8 right now. 6 for Siefker, so that's.
I'm sorry, I thought he was at 7. No, you're right.
He must have used it last lap to set that 26.7, but he is. I don't think he used a push to pass to get that pass done. He might have used it to catch up. As new leader Nate Siefker. And again, this is more than just winning a race for Nate Siefker as he pushes way wide out of the final corner. He could sweep the road races here this season with a win here tonight.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's we've seen him work magic at the Glen before, in Indy cars, and it would not surprise me if he's got another couple tricks up his sleeve. What's going to happen from here? Nobody's really sure, but it's definitely going to be something fun to watch. So don't go anywhere, folks.
No, certainly not. 18 laps to go here. We are expecting one more pit stop here prior to the end of this, and I would have to assume it's going to be reds all the way for these guys as Siefker now starting to lose a little bit of ground to Rick Ravon, and during that pass, that lap with that last lap where Davis, I'm sorry, not Davis, Siefker was able to pass Ravon 1 full second slower than Siefker, 127.3 to a 128.3 as Siefker starting to pull back ahead just a little bit as we have 17 laps to go. Some more incidents here to catch you up on. This is Dan Brazington here coming back onto the NASCAR circuit, and I think he's going to loop it. Yep, there he goes, and unfortunately loses the nose cone there. Jeffrey Roulette at the toe of the boot is going to loop it. There he goes. Just goes for a little bit of a slide. No damage on the 66. But it looks as though Dan Brazington might be done tonight. Will Fletcher is done, as we had mentioned. So right now, 10 cars remaining here circulating through this field. As just to look here again, this is your track map up there in the top corner of your screen. Coming through the heel of the boot right now is the 10 of Nate Siefker with the green highlight around his number as they head on to the front straightaway. And then here is Ronnie Osmer going through the toe of the boot in that number 55. That is third place. So there is your visual representation of first to third, that pairing up there first to third. And I think Rayvon might have had a little bit of an issue coming out of the final corner, as you could really see his number fall off.
He had a big wiggle.
Yep, and that's, again, 3 lap older tires for Rick Rayvon, and those were 3 laps he was really pushing to try to get ahead of Nate Siefker, and that wiggle has cost him about 1.5 seconds of on-track time. 2 seconds behind the number 10 now is the 5 of Rayvon.
As we're closing in with, it'll be 15 to go when they come across the stripe this next time. It's going to be fun to see who stays out how long and what tires they put on. Because, again, we haven't seen Rayvon go to the blacks all night, and I'm not sure if there is a rule that you have to use the primaries at least once. I do know that the race control told us that whatever you set your qualifying fast lap on is what you had to start the race on. So it's, Siefker kind of did the right thing and qualified on the primary compounds and just let the chips fall where they may. So he got those out of the way. Osmer kind of did the same thing, and I'm thinking everybody else is still going to have to go to that primary compound.
I would think that's the case, and if you're Rick Rayvon, you could use that primary compound now, knowing that Siefker is going to have to come in a little bit before you do. As you're watching right now, this is a battle for 5th position. This is a points battle here, as Chris Simard has taken over that 5th position from Butch Davis. And again, Davis needing to finish a pretty decent amount ahead of Chris Simard if he wanted to take that 2nd position in points.
2 spots.
Yep, 2 spots ahead. And Simard almost clipped the end of that tire wall coming out of the final corner. So this right now will pretty much lock down 2nd and 3rd in points as well. As they run, and there goes Simard around in turn 1. That's not going to help him.
And Simard is out of push to pass.
Yep, he's out of push to pass, and now he's getting passed by Jeffrey Roulette. And as it stands right now, if you're looking at the timing pylon there, this is about as far down as he's going to go. There's still a decent gap between him and Charles Woods in the 40, a good 6-second gap between the 77 and the 40. So this is about as low as he's going to go. Davis might have to really get on the power and try to get around Jeffrey Bogan if he wants to take over that 2nd spot in points.
Well, we still have the money stop to go.
Yep.
And we're getting close to seeing it. We're inside 15 to go. Kind of can almost make it from here if you save fuel and put on the primary compound tires. Which I don't know how comfortable some of these guys are going to be going to that tire this late in the race, especially considering that, they've already done 36 laps on the soft compound.
Yeah, and that would have been my question with Rayvon. Siefker's going to have to come in a little bit later. Would it be worth putting the Blackwall harder tires on just so you can push and not really have to worry about saving tires the way that Siefker was? And you saw during qualifying, they can run a very similar lap time if you're pushing.
Yeah, I mean, there's only 8 1,000ths of a second separating Siefker and Rayvon, between their qualifying attempts, and with Rayvon being on the red option tires and Siefker being on the black sidewalled primary tire. I don't know. I wish I had a better answer. As Rayvon's going pit, we're about to find out.
I was just about to say those exact words. We're going to find out now as Rick Rayvon comes into pit road. There's 13 laps to go. You can see, I think he's setting his tire compound. You saw that little jink to the left. That might have been him looking down at the iRacing UI. trying to set his tires. We'll jump on board, see what tires he puts on that number 5. My assumption would be he's going to stick with the red wall Firestones, and he will. Rick Ravon will run reds the entirety of this race.
13 laps to go.
Yeah, which means to me there would be no compound rule. As Jeffrey Bogan hitting pit road as well. There is Bogan sitting in his pit stall. He most likely will stay on the reds as well. Boy, all this fuss about tire compounds, and we've only seen one.
No idea what we're about to see, but the difference right now between Ravon and Siefker, 32.25 seconds with a 30-second pit delta, 31.4 for both of them last time they were down pit road. Siefker still has to make his money stop. Ravon's already done his. Ronnie Osmer still has to make his. Butch Davis still has to make his. So,
and just to keep you up to date on the push-to-pass situation, Nate Siefker has 5 push-to-passes left. So while he was in the lead, he did use a push-to-pass. Osmer has 4. Ravon has 8. So Ravon is +3 on push-to-passes right now, as compared to the man you're seeing on screen right now, who holds a 25-second lead over his closest rival currently in second position. And as Tony mentioned, the pit delta being roughly 30 seconds, he holds the race lead right now in and out of pit road. Right now, make those reds last so you can push a little bit harder on the next set.
Davis is in.
Yep, Davis in, Roulette in, Simard in as well for their final pit stops. These guys were all running line astern on track. There was a bit of a gap separating the two. Reds for Davis, Roulette, I would have to assume these guys are going to stay on reds.
I dare say that's the safe bet. Yeah, everybody so far
they're all on reds.
Has gone on the option compound, yeah.
And back on the other end of pit road, here comes Nate Siefker holding a 33.5-second lead on Rick Ravon coming down pit road. Going to see here momentarily what Siefker is going to put on here. I couldn't imagine it being anything other than reds. Osmer, you saw him turn off into pit road in the background. Watch for Rick Ravon, the car number 5. Here he is down the front straightaway. It is going to be a clear lead for driver number 10. Nate Siefker boasting a 4-second advantage over the 5 of Rick Ravon, who on that last lap used 2 of his 8 remaining push-to-passes. 6 left for Ravon.
And 5 left for Siefker, so... what's a push to pass between friends at this point? So the only one we have left to see, and there he goes. I was going to say Charles Woods in 5th, finally peeling off to do his money stop. So, whatever you got is what you've got. We're 11 to go right now, coming through the toe of the boot. That's Siefker leading Ravon by 2.5 seconds.
And Ravon having 6 push-to-passes. Siefker at this point, you can flip the script. For Siefker, him having 5 push-to-defends at this point right now, and really only one place that you would threaten to use one of those push-to-passes. If you're feeling a little lucky and depending upon the run you get coming off of the final corner, as you saw Siefker make a little bit of a mistake. Coming out of the penultimate corner, just clipping that grass, losing some time there. You can use one of those push-to-passes here down the front straightaway, but mostly it's going to be at the top of the circuit, out of the S's. If you can get a good run through the S's, that sets you up beautifully for a push-to-pass opportunity going into the carousel.
You've got to get the S's just right. You can't put a wheel even remotely close to being off. And
Ooh, Simard, partner. Sorry to.
yeah, I saw that.
Yep, Simard at the heel of the boot has gone well off. We've seen Timothy Bates do that several times, and that right there could very easily have just given Butch Davis second place in points. Ronnie Osmer has also had an off. We'll show you both of those now as Simard, I think, just ends it.
There is a lot of damage on Simard's car.
Yeah, he's ended it. He's towed back to pit road. Here is Osmer running wide in the penultimate corner. Not too bad, especially compared to this one. This is Chris Simard just doing exactly what we've seen Timothy Bates do several times here tonight. Just right on off. Right on off at the heel boot.
And while you were watching that, Rayvon did use a push to pass to close in on Siefker. There's still about 9/10 of a second between the two of them, and Rayvon's used another push to pass.
Yep, Rayvon down to 4 push to passes now. You can see the green highlight on his steering wheel there. That lets you know he is on the push to pass button, trying to use as much of that advantage as he possibly can. Shuts off just prior to the carousel, and now that gap has closed down, and you can certainly tell he's been using it. That last lap, the first driver other than Nate Siefker to run a 126. Rayvon setting his personal best to 126.9 that last time around.
Absolutely. I mean, that's just flat getting it around here. That's actually right on par with where he qualified. So, inside 10 to go, Rayvon and Siefker are still cranking off lap times that would have still put them both on the front row in qualifying.
Now, the times you're seeing on the bottom of your screen are a little skewed because those include pit stop times in there. But the first lap, head-to-head, where they were both back out on track together, Rick Rayvon, 7/10 of a second quicker than Nate Siefker. We'll see what it was this time through. Siefker responds with a 26.9 of his own without using a push to pass. Rayvon has used yet another push to pass. He's down to 3, and Rayvon only able to do a 27.2 on that last lap. So Rayvon, in a matter of 3 or 4 laps, has gone from 3 push to passes up to 2 down on Siefker.
User was
and I just received word from Race Control, and actually I'm going to reach out to Race Control right now. Tim Bates, you got us?
I do. How you guys doing tonight?
Pretty good. We had questions about the tire compounds coming into tonight. You said that they do not have to use both in the race.
And we apologize for not pushing that to you guys in the broadcast booth. It was a late decision. Obviously, this is new. This is our first road course with the changes. Basically, what happens, whatever you qualify with, and we through practice we realized that the reds were faster and also that they last longer. So there was no reason to use the blacks at all. But whatever you qualify with fastest, no matter what you pick, and it was default to the red, and it's default to the red when you're in the pits. But if you pick the blacks, whatever you qualified with, you had to start the race with, and hence there was a couple guys out there that did pick the blacks to qualify with, and they came in and changed, and they just faster lap. I don't know what the problem is, but you had to start with whatever you qualified with.
Fair enough. So thank you for clarifying that, and we're kind of keeping a close eye on the point standings too.
Yeah. So second and third coming in this week, Chris Simard is in second. He was with 235 points, and Butch Davis is 231. That's literally the battle that I'm watching, anyways, sitting in the pits. So,
well, with Simard being 1 lap down in 8th, and Davis sitting in 5th, that's going to be very close at the finish.
But, absolutely. And hey, let's finish the race out. I mean,
Absolutely.
Who knows who's got any fast pairs left and nothing like that. And hey, look, old Jeffrey Bogan up there, man. My neighbor. He's fighting to try to get up there and get a podium. That would be his first podium. So I'm rooting for him. But hey, great job, guys. Look forward to next season.
Thanks, Tim.
User was
So there
moved
we
out
go.
of your
It's a
channel.
little late, but we did get the official word that there were no compound mandates. That coming from Timothy Bates. And while Bates was talking, Rayvon's starting to really struggle on those red wall tires as Rayvon
He's used another push to pass coming up through the S's.
has used another push to pass, has used another one right now. Rayvon down to one push to pass remaining and is continuing to lose ground off the back of the leader, Nate Siefker. So Siefker right now has the raw pace in that number 10 to be able to deal with Rick Rayvon. And you can see the last 3 laps, Siefker has been quicker than Rayvon. Rayvon has been on the button, so that just goes to show how much quicker that number 10 is compared to the number 5.
And how about the 55, Ronnie Osmer? Holding down the number 3 slot right now, about 14 seconds to the good over Jeffrey Bogan. He's about 24 and a half seconds back off this battle for the lead. But hell of a drive tonight off the youngster from Louisiana.
Certainly has been a fantastic run for Ronnie Osmer in the 55. As we look through, as Tim mentioned, Jeffrey Bogan going through the boot now. There is his next battle for position. Timothy Bates. I'm sorry, Butch Davis. That's who I was looking for. Just 3 seconds behind. That's a battle for 4th. And as you and Bates were alluding to, that right there could clinch 2nd position. And I think as we were talking, yep, there's Ronnie Osmer sitting backwards and just knocking the wing off in the final corner. Osmer in deep trouble, and he is going to tow it.
Well, he's missing the right front suspension of that car.
And that was after he had hit that inside wall trying to turn it around. He went off track again, just pushing it too hard through the penultimate corner. Ends up the wrong way, and this is where we picked it up here. And there goes the suspension. So that will promote Jeffrey Bogan up to the 3rd position. Butch Davis now in 4th, and he has closed down 0.7 of a second in just that last lap. Actually, he's closed down a full second in that last lap, a 29.8 compared to a 28.8 from Bogan to Davis. So that could be a battle we're looking at here in the closing 5 laps of this season.
And neither one of those drivers has a push to pass left.
Yep, no, they are both out. So right now, Nate Siefker and Charles Woods, as a matter of fact, on track right now on the lead lap. We'll put that qualifier out there. Siefker has actually just used one. He is down to 3 now. He's going to use one going up the hill here. Has a 3-second advantage over Rick Rayvon and growing. Rayvon, with only 1 push to pass left, was a 0.5 second slower than Nate Siefker last time through. 3.5 laps to go. Unless somebody makes that dreaded M word, there it is. Unless somebody makes a mistake, that could, this race is pretty much over at the top.
Well, there's still quite a bit of racing left to do here. When you're talking about a 3.4 mile road course, we're still looking at right around.
Oh, that's Hollingsworth.
Yeah.
He could have played a big role there. So we're going to see what happened to Hollingsworth. We missed the incident, but he is
got it all wrong coming out of the S's.
Let's try here. We're going to follow Hollingsworth. through turn 1 here. This should actually, yeah, no, this is right.
Yeah,
See,
watch at the top of the hill.
Yep, here he comes up to the top of the hill. Middle of the track. No, I think we missed it, unfortunately.
No, you haven't gotten to it yet.
I was at the top of the hill.
Then it was the
Try
next
this one
lap.
here. Yeah.
Because it was
that's what I was thinking.
bad. It was
So-
bad.
We're going to try this again here, trying to get this incident with Hollingsworth. And it's coming up the hill. Oh, you can see he already takes the first S a little wild. Then here, just straight on. Wow, that almost looked as though steering failure.
That's kind of what it looked like to me too, but all things considered.
Yeah, Hollingsworth was the last running car. Osmer has called it an evening, so Ronnie Osmer is done in the 9th position. Hollingsworth does have a chance to gain a position on him if he can get that car running. However, with 2 laps to go, I don't think he's going to be able to. So right now, the last car circulating the track is Dan Brazington in the 29. Sitting 3 laps down. Chris Simard is 1 lap down. The top 6, ending with Charles Woods in the 40, is currently the last car on the lead lap. And Rayvon has had an issue because he has fallen back to 9 seconds off the back of Nate Siefker.
Let me go see if I can find what happened here.
Set a lap time of a 1:31.5 last time around. Both drivers, both Siefker and Rayvon, down to 1 final push to pass for both of them. And if it wasn't settled before, it is certainly settled now.
Yeah, it just looks like the tires have completely gone away on the 5, and he's starting to really struggle. 11 laps of hard fought running, so it kind of is what it is at this point. And we're definitely going to have to wait until the final word from race control. But that battle for second place in points is ultra close right now between Butch Davis and Chris Simard. My very rough math, being as neither one of them has gotten a bonus point tonight yet.
Davis has had bonus points for leading a lap, and Bogan trying to defend.
If that's the case, then if Davis has led a lap, then that gives him second place in the point standings.
Yep, they are running line astern right now.
Unofficial.
Yep, coming through the final lap. But coming through the carousel right now is Nate Siefker, the champion for the inaugural season, the man who has won every single road course that this season has thrown out as Rayvon continues to just hemorrhage time off of the race lead, now 17 seconds behind. Siefker has managed the tires beautifully here tonight, has managed the pit strategy beautifully here tonight as they head back onto the NASCAR straightaway. Your season 1 champion, I believe a 7-time winner in 11 races in this inaugural season, finishes the year on top. Coming out of the final corner, Nate Siefker wins the New York 170 at Watkins Glen, and with that puts an end to season 1. Rayvon will finish in P2, but right now the battle here is for the 3rd and final spot on the podium as Bogan really defending off the back of Butch Davis. Bogan looks like might hold on.
It's going to be interesting to see how this happens when they transfer onto the NASCAR portion of the track, and both of them kind of tiptoeing right now. Davis going to have basically one final shot at him as he comes through the penultimate corner. Davis right in the slipstream, going to try to outbreak him. Nope, not going to happen unless Bogan does something bad here. Does not happen. Jeffrey Bogan hangs on for third place. Butch Davis in fourth.
So there are your final results. I believe Dan Brazenton is the only other one that has not crossed the line. Actually, he has. So Nate Siefker.
Roulette and Woods have not crossed.
And those guys are not racing around each other. There's a 10-second gap between those two. But Nate Siefker, who has had just one heck of a season to remember, an inaugural season, sweeping the road races this year, winning the championship last week at Michigan. This race being just a formality to close out season one. And Siefker ends it on top. As he and Ravon now completing their cool down laps, we will try to get a word in with all three of these guys, as we're going to be interviewing the top three tonight. We are also going to be interviewing Butch Davis as a representative of the series to put a bow on this season. So right now, we are going to bring in Nate Siefker. And Nate, you ended the season about as perfectly as you could have. Champion, 7-time winner, undefeated on the road courses this season. Nate, congratulations on about as successful a season as anyone can have.
Wow, I feel that sounds pretty good. Thank you. Yeah, that was been a great season overall. These group of guys have done a fantastic job this entire season, and I couldn't be more proud to help run this league with the group of guys that we have in it. So thank you to everybody for a successful first season for sure.
You had started on the harder tire. You switched to the soft tire for the remainder of the race. Was there really that big of a difference in handling between the red and black tires?
Yeah, I'd say so. The blacks just didn't really last as well as I thought they would. I was losing the rear about 8 laps in, and I was struggling to hang on to it at the end of that stint. Then that second stint behind Butch and Rick for that first portion of it, I was really I didn't treat the tires very well, and I was feeling the same thing. So I was like, okay, I'm just my driving style. And that third stint, I just kind of relaxed around Rick with the reds and pushed a good clip, and the tires never had any issues at all. They had more grip pushing the car on the reds than I did trying to conserve on the blacks. So very interesting, to say the least, how the tire responded tonight.
User joined your channel.
It certainly was, and interesting to watch, especially on that first pit stop. You'll hear it on the broadcast. We were baffled at some of the decisions that were made. But to round out this season, we clearly don't have anywhere to go next week. Anyone you want to give a shout out to before we put a bow on this season?
Yeah, I want to thank every single person that we have in this league who has a role with it. They do a fantastic job. Everybody does. All the drivers do, and you guys as well for putting us on. So I want to thank everybody for participating and having a role with this. I just want to thank, just literally everybody. I had a lot of congratulations for my championship. So that was pretty cool to have. So, I just want to thank every single person that's associated with this league for sure.
All right, and certainly well earned on one heck of a season. It was only the first for Sim Racer's Edge. It's going to be quite interesting to see how you can outdo yourself, if you can outdo yourself next season. But in any event, congratulations on the victory here tonight.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for all your work this season.
Thank you very much. So that was your race winner, Nate Siefker, and Tony has Rick Ravon with him now.
The Jersey Jet himself, very
Jersey Jet.
the Jersey Jet,
I remember.
Rick
I haven't
Ravon.
done it in a while.
Rick, we saw you blister one in the qualifying session, and you and Butch Davis kind of set sail in that first segment. You both stayed out under the competition caution with everybody else coming in to do their tire and fuel stop. Was there at any point that you were second guessing staying on the reds all night?
No, not a bit. I mean, we practice on reds, we practice on blacks, and reds were the way to go. And since they don't have a rule yet that you have to, you're required to switch tires, we just figure, hey, why not just run the reds all night? Somehow Nate ended up on blacks. I don't know how. I didn't listen to the interview, but maybe he explained how. But he ended up on blacks at the start of the race, and I was like, oh, okay, because I knew the reds, they were really much better, and they were actually really good over the course of the fuel run. So we had no problem with the tires tonight.
Well, he started with the blacks because he wanted to go that first fuel stint without having to short pit it. But moving forward,
he teed up at the start of the race and said, "I have no idea why I'm on the blacks." That's what he said.
Oh, okay. Well, then I don't know. But Rick, you came in kind of late this season. Didn't show up until Indy. But I do want to congratulate you, sir, on having 4 straight pole positions with Indy, Miami, Michigan, and then tonight at the Glen. So 4 straight pole positions in 4 consecutive starts.
Wow, I didn't realize that.
And finally got the finish that we know you're capable of, as far as being able to put one on the podium. Almost at will at times, as long as you don't get force-fed hot garbage from someone else's dumpster fire. So moving forward, going into season 2 of the Sim Racers Edge Alpha Series, your take on moving forward?
Well, I'm just really excited about the next season. And if I could pound on my chest a little bit and say that Nate is now in my crosshairs, this kid, boy, on the road course, he's virtually unbeatable. But we made some gains with the force feedback in the steering, and I feel like we got a little bit quicker. But if I'm Muhammad Ali, he's Joe Frazier. I want Nate Sifka. Nate Sifka must fall. That kid is too good on the road courses. Got to bring Sifka down. Got to beat that man. Got to take that title. I want Nate Sifka.
Okay. So I'm gonna suggest a large dose of Prozac, and maybe a nice nap, because but no.
My doctor tomorrow. Talk to him about it. My psychiatrist.
But yeah, no, Rick, again, congratulations on the podium tonight. We're looking forward to seeing you in season 2. Is there anybody you want to thank before we let you go?
Oh, I don't know. Let me think. You guys in the booth, ESPN does such a great job. And Frank, by the way, it's the first time we're talking. We haven't even talked. Hello, no. Frank.
How are you?
I want to tell you, I'm doing great, man. Second place. It's a good night for us. We've had a lot of bad luck in this season. We joined late. Pat touched on that earlier, but I had a commitment with another league. Racing for Jesus, and those are my brothers in Christ, and I just couldn't say, hey guys, I gotta leave. I wanted to finish out the season with them. I got the championship over there, so that was a good thing. But I'll be full time here in SRE next season. Really looking forward to it, man. We got a great group of guys from they came over from a league that's now defunct, and I love running with these guys. Jeffrey Bogan's a new kid on the block. Really, I've never really raced with him before. But he's on the podium. Congratulations to him. Butch Davis, 25 years I've known him. Good friend of mine. Simard, like all of these guys. Brassington, Osmer, who else? Tim Bates, Sam Cooper Bennett, Kevin O'Brien, Carl Burr, all these guys. So great to be out there racing with them. And I'm just looking forward to the next season. And Frank, you do a fantastic job in the booth. I've been waiting to get on this dang podium so I can tell you that. You do a good job in the booth. ESPN, what a hire, man. Fantastic.
Thank you very much.
You and Pat are a good team.
I really appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
All right, Rick. We'll see you next season, and congratulations on finishing out this season strong.
Thank you, Pat. God bless you, brother.
You too, sir.
User was moved out of your
So
channel.
there was a Rick Ravon, and that will bring in Jeffrey Bogan, your third place finisher here tonight. First podium of the year, sir. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you guys. Man, I'm still trying to catch my breath over here.
What was it like racing for the first time on these different tire compounds? We've heard from Siefker, we've heard from Rayvon saying how slippery the red wall tires came to be towards the end of a run. How were they for you tonight?
To be quite honest, I didn't have too much of an issue until that last run. Those last, three maybe four laps I had. Some of it had to do with Butch kind of crawling up my butt there at the end, and I might have been overdriving a little bit, but didn't have too much of an issue on the reds. I had practiced in the blacks a little bit. They never really seemed to hook up and come in, so the reds were the easy choice, to be honest with you, but they did get a little slick at the end there.
Had a couple of incidents happen around you here tonight. What was it like getting through those and just trying to keep your head and just trying to keep a nice solid race going for yourself?
Yeah, I mean, when those cars spin out in front of you, you kind of come around a blind turn and there's a car there. And a lot of it was luck, to be honest with you. The car's kind of self-cleaned out of the way and I was pointed in the right direction. And it breaks your rhythm. It takes you, try to get right back in it, but it usually takes you a turn or two to kind of get back and get your rhythm going. But yeah, I definitely had about 3 of those tonight where I had to avoid somebody.
And again, you had mentioned battling Butch at the end there. Most you've used your tires all race. What was it like with Butch bearing down on you for the remainder of the race?
Oh man, I kind of had a 6+ second gap on him for most of the stint before the final pit stop. And I had held it there, and then he just started coming. Man, I was definitely holding on there at the end. But I appreciate Butch. In all the practices, Butch is always. If I got any questions, issues with lines, Butch is always helpful. So nice to beat him this time.
And now with the season ending, nowhere to go next week, but looking forward to season 2. What are your expectations, goals, possibly heading into season 2 of Sim Racer's Edge?
To be honest, I'll certainly. I'm looking forward to it. This was kind of felt very lucky to be in the league this year with my limited experience. I mean, this was my 97th iRace total. I think maybe my 14th in an Indy car. So super excited. I really just wanted to get laps in and learn as much as I could this year. I feel like I did that. I think I finished a whole lot higher in points this year than my goal was, for sure. But yeah, I'm super excited about next season and getting some more practice in and getting more comfortable in these cars and racing some of these fast guys a little harder and try to give Nate a run for his money here down the road.
That's what we like to hear. The battle for the championship rages in season 2. Your 3rd place finisher here tonight, Jeffrey Bogan. Bud, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. Hey, I want to give a shout out real quick. First, I got to first and foremost thank my wife for putting up with this. We're all take some time to get away from this. So thank you for that. You guys, Turn Racing, Tim Bates wanted to make sure I thanked him. So let me thank Tim Bates, and Tim Bates. Pretty sure I got all 3 of them in there, Timmy. And yeah, I appreciate you guys and look forward to talking to you next season more often.
We thank you very much, and we certainly hope so as well, Jeff. Your 3rd place finisher tonight, Jeffrey Bogan. Congratulations, bud.
Thanks.
User was moved
I
out
can't
of your
believe I
channel.
almost forgot the congratulations. And with that, that pretty much puts an end to the season. And what we like to do at the end of the season, we would like to have the head administrator, or at least a representative from the guys that make decisions here,
User was moved to your
jump
channel.
in and have a quick conversation with us to try to put a bow on this season. And tonight, I think Butch Davis is the one that drew the short straw for that. Butch, just an incredible season that has come and gone now. When you look back on this season, what are you most proud of? What are the highlights from this season that you guys can take going into next season?
Thanks, guys. First of all, thank you for everything you guys do to provide the broadcast for everybody. I'm most proud of what we've been able to accomplish as an entire league in such a short period of time. The league basically was put together in less than a month. Drivers have come together. We've had no major dramas through 11 races, through an update that, is the reason why we're running Watkins Glen this week. I'm just really proud of the effort of everybody in the league, administrators, drivers, even, the people that watch, you guys broadcasting. It's just been a total team effort to put on a hell of a show. And it's been fun, I think above all else, that's what we all want to do, is have fun in our hobby. And we've been able to do that.
Really quick before we before we give you the floor here, how was your race here tonight, finishing fourth place, first time working with multiple compounds on the season? What were your overall thoughts on the race here tonight?
It was a pretty good race. I had a strategy. Unfortunately, I kind of got caught up behind Ronnie when he went off coming out of the boot, and it was either hit Ronnie or spin the car around to avoid him. So I chose the latter. Didn't want to ruin both of our races. So spun myself around, lost a bunch of positions, a bunch of time. That kind of put me behind the 8-ball. Battling with Chris Simard all year long for second in the championship. I knew coming in I had to make up 4 points. Got the lap led early. And that really that spin put a wrench in the works for me. I kind of figured it was out of reach. And then, man, Chris is such a good guy, great driver. He's just had horrible luck the last 4 weeks. And that's basically what cost him second in the championship. But overall, it was a fun race. Happy for Jeff Bogan. Nate C, for that, why wins way too much. But it's all, hey, man, we all had fun.
He certainly have, and that is official, by the way. Second place in points to the driver, the number 43, Butch Davis. All right, so what we're going to do now is we are going to give you the floor. Thank anybody you want to thank. Say whatever you want to say about this inaugural season for Sim Racer's Edge, and to promote season 2 as much as you can. So, Butch, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Frank and Tony. First and foremost, I would like to thank ESPN for the broadcasting. Frank and Tony have done an outstanding job, along with Sam Cooper Bennett. Phenomenal work all year long to put on a great show for those that can watch. Thank you to the administrators, aside from myself, of course. Nate Siefker, Chris Walker, Keep Getting Better Chris, Dan Brazington, Timothy Bates. The stuff that we've done in such a short period of time to get to where we are has been phenomenal. I want to thank all the drivers that have competed with us this year, whether they've just come in and run practice laps or they've participated in the races. It still, gives us something to work with. Going into season 2, obviously the expectations are going to raise. We've got a couple things in store. We will be running an Indy 500 in the month of May as part of our series, as part of the league. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be good. We've got a lot of drivers that have really stepped their game up this year. Guys like Jeffrey Bogan, Jeffrey Roulette, Charles Woods, William Fletcher, excuse me. Just a lot of guys have really stepped their game up on the road courses, and it's been really awesome to watch that happen.
And so with that, Butch, it has been one heck of a season. You guys all, every single week, you guys thank us for putting on this great for what you guys call a great broadcast. Didn't want to didn't want to knock myself over, patting myself on the back there. But honestly, it's not a great broadcast for us if it's not for great racing, and you guys have provided that twofold every single week that we come to do one of these broadcasts. So thank you very much for putting on one heck of a season. And I speak for everyone at ESPN when I say we cannot wait for season 2 to begin.
Oh, thank you. I and the drivers, thank you. Season 2, first race will be February 3rd, I think. To kind of like rack the brain a little bit. But we will be having a 50-50 money race on January 20th. Looks like that's going to be at Indianapolis. It will be a 250-mile race. Half of the money will go to the top 5 finishers, and the other half of the money will go towards the league for broadcast fees and, other things like that. So, yeah, February 3rd, we'll be back.
You're supposed to say the other half is supposed to go to charity, an unknown charity. And then that makes you sound better.
If somebody who's not already involved with the league wants to get involved with that race, how do they go about doing so?
They can, join any of our practices. There's always practices up on iRacing in the hosted section. Anytime you see SRE listed, please feel free to join in and talk to us. We can be found on Facebook, Sim Racers Edge. And obviously, the various names amongst us. Find us on iRacing itself and message us.
All right, so there is your Season 1 wrap-up from the administrator who drew the short straw today, Butch Davis. Butch, congratulations on a successful first season, and again, cannot wait for Season 2 to start.
All right, thanks very much, guys. I appreciate it.
No problem. And that will
User was moved out of your
conclude the
channel.
interview section of the broadcast here tonight. But Tony, as we wrap up here, you and I think the only race I missed was Motegi this year due to work. And every single race we've broadcast this season has been absolutely phenomenal. We've had roller coaster rides on road courses. We've had some incredible races on the ovals. We've had our first 2 ovals had a combined finishing time of a hundredth of a second. 2 dead heat photo finishes this season. This has been one wild season with a lot of memorable moments.
It definitely has. As far as the racing and the product that's been out on track. We go all the way back to the first race that these guys put up at Auto Club. Just at the stripe, there were 45 lead changes. That's at the start-finish line. That doesn't include the 3 other lead changes that took place throughout the lap as well, multiple times 3 wide. We saw that again at Michigan. Every track that these guys have gone to this season, we saw some great battling going on at Road America. That was almost the race that nobody really wanted to win. But it was just some great action there. Texas, I'm usually not a fan of the 1.5 miles, but Texas was just an amazing finish. Then we went to Motegi, where it was Sam and I in the booth for that one. That was just, I'm still gobsmacked. Mid-Ohio, I couldn't have asked for a better race than what we saw at Mid-Ohio. Phoenix was amazing. The both races at Indy, the road course and the oval in Indy, we saw some just unbelievable passing opportunities take place. You're going, there's no way they're gonna. Holy hell! How'd they make it through that corner without killing anybody? The same thing at Miami, and same thing, last week at Michigan, or 2 weeks ago at Michigan. Now here we are at the Glen finishing things up, and I don't think we could have asked for a better race From the drop of the green to the checkered flag coming out. It was just action. And I want to touch base right now, real quick, about Chris Simard. And if you're okay with it, I'd like to bring him up into the booth and talk to him real quick because, he had a hell of a season, and it was just a heartbreaker tonight here at the Glen.
Yeah, sure. Let's go for it.
User was moved to your channel.
Joining us now, Chris Simard. Chris, I know tonight probably wasn't the finish you were hoping for, but all things considered, and you admittedly being not a road course ringer, third place in the final point standings in the inaugural season of the Sim Racers Edge, can't be too disappointed in that.
It's not. I'm disappointed in myself personally because I've had 4 straight races of crashing out. So at least I finished this race, but it's a little disappointing. But I'm happy with third. The first season, third is awesome. I think if I could, if I didn't crash out on those 4 races, I would give Nate a run for his money. But it is what it is. I need to stop making mistakes, man.
Well, the thing is this is one of those seasons where it was tough to be an IndyCar driver in the iRacing servers because of all of the new additions iRacing threw at you guys in the last update. And, since then, that's really where a lot of guys started to struggle with the new tire model, the new aero model, and the new damage model coming out. But moving forward, season 2 is not that far around the corner, and in 2 weeks they're going to have the money race at arguably one of your best tracks, Indianapolis, for a 250 miler on the 20th. Your thoughts going into that event?
Well, the last time I ran Indy, I hit the wall, so I'm not going to do that again. So if I have to back it down a little bit, see, that's the thing. I tend to like setups really loose. That's what helps me in the ovals especially, and it just steps out from me. And I don't know. I know Michigan. I kind of pushed up in the wall, and then I got loose off of 2, but I don't know. The loose setups help me, but if you're running too much, it definitely steps out really, really, really quick. So. But I love Indy. I typically run good there. I got stopped at mistakes. It's just that killed me. I mean, I had the last 4 races of the season was like Butch Davis in the first handful of races. Just can't get out of my own way. So.
Well, Chris, season 2 is not that far away. I believe we're going. If I'm not mistaken, Butch told us February 3rd is going to be the season opener for season 2, and we haven't seen you in IndyCars on ESPN in a couple of seasons, so it's good to see you back, behind the wheel of an IndyCar here on Wednesday nights, and you have served notice that you're going to be one of the guys that somebody's going to need to beat to have any shot at a podium.
Yeah, I actually impressed myself because I hadn't run a lot of IndyCars in the last year and a half before now. It's definitely a learning curve to step back in, especially with the setups. The setups are a lot to get used to. I like I said, I like the loose setups, but you could make it a little too loose. But I'm just hoping that I don't make as much mistakes as I did last year. Because if I can limit the mistakes on road courses and not step on myself on ovals, I could give everyone a run for their money, and that's all I hope for. That's all I got.
Well, Chris, is there anybody you want to thank before we let you go?
Thank you guys up in the booth. You guys do a great job on the broadcast. All of our sponsors. This was a great first season. It was a great group of drivers. and there's a lot of drivers that stuck it out through the entire season, and it was awesome. I can't wait for next season. My wife and son, and maybe at one point my team, well, it used to be my teammate for IndyCars, Keith. Maybe he'll come back at one point. So who knows?
All right. Well, we're looking forward to that, Chris, and best of luck to you in season 2.
All right. Thanks, guys. Hell of a season.
User was moved out of your channel.
It certainly was a hell of a season. It's the best way you could possibly wrap it up there. From our 7th place finisher tonight, our 3rd place finisher in the inaugural point standings. But right now, we'll go to the finishing results here for tonight's race. Nate Siefker, Rick Ravon, Jeffrey Bogan, your podium finishers. Siefker again wrapping up the championship last week. Butch Davis coming home in 4th, takes 2nd place in the point standings. Jeffrey Roulette in 5th. Charles Wood 6th. Chris Simard in 7th. Dan Brazington, again, who had clinched most laps completed this season, does not lead one this season. However, finishes in the 8th position. Tony.
Ronnie Osmer had a podium finish in his grasp, let it slip, coming home in 9th, 5 laps down. Jeff Hollingsworth in 10th after having a throughput earlier in the evening. Rebounds for 10th. Will Fletcher coming home in 11th. Yari Bruphatcher, not the night he was hoping for, coming home in 12th after running in the top 5 most of the night. Tim Bates, same thing, coming home in 13th. Tony Phillips in 14th. Sam Cooper Bennett, a night he'd just as soon forget, coming home in 15th. Kevin O'Brien put it on the hauler very early, coming home in 16th after having a lot of trouble coming out of the boot. And Carl Burke was the first one to put it on the hauler after eating the tires coming out of the boot on lap 4.
And that will do it for this inaugural season for Sim Racers Edge. We thank you very much for joining us all throughout the season. We will be back for season 2, roughly, I would assume, right around the time iRacing East starts up their season. So with that, we are going to close out proceedings here for tonight. If you're on YouTube, be sure to subscribe to the channel, like the stream on Facebook as well, like our Facebook page to keep up with everything and anything ESBN. You can go to ESBNofficial.com to do that, to check on live events that are coming up in the not-so-distant future. And speaking of that not-so-distant future, rounding out the week, we have 3 more races this week as we come back to normalcy with races every night here on ESPN. The USRA Cup Series will be at the road course at Daytona International Speedway. Jonathan Leach will be joining me in the booth tomorrow night for that. On Saturday afternoon, it will be the eFormula 3.5 Series at Road America. Jake Sperry and myself in the booth there. The next time you will hear Tony is on Sunday for the Chris Cup Sim Racing Series at the Michigan International Speedway. That will be Tony and Kevin, and that will round out the week here on ESPN. So from all of us here at ESPN, we thank you very much for making us a part of your evening. We thank you very much for sticking with us through the technical issues we had at the beginning of the broadcast for Season 1 of Sim Racers Edge, and for us here on ESPN. Have a fantastic night, everybody.